Your show's rubbish.
And relax and get in the right headspace.
Should we just go? Should we just go from here? Should we just start?
I'm happy with that, mate. I'm happy with that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Trout Spinners with Miles Pennell and Gary Forestdale. How's it going, man?
I'm not Spanish. I'm not Spanish. Yeah, it's all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, man. I went to buy my drinks, as I always do, as is part of the routine of this recording. And I got whistled at by a homeless gentleman. Have you ever been whistled at by a homeless gentleman? I was just rolling a little cigarette and I was walking, and he just looked at me and I was like, oh God. And you know when your eyes just meet and you're like, oh fuck, he's going to ask for something. So just carried on walking, had my earphones in as fast as I could. I kind of am though. It's the worst thing. But then he went, and I was like, oh my God, just keep walking. He
could have been doing it to anyone, you know.
No, he wanted something. And like, how are you feeling about giving money? Because you're not meant to, are you, with COVID? There's this new variant that's knocking around.
Oh, don't talk to me about a new variant, mate. Just, it's come out of Botswana. Not come out, but I'm not blaming Botswana.
It sounds like you are.
For some reason, it was in Botswana. I don't know how it got there.
Little Botswanan fella.
And that's not blaming Botswana, by the way. Don't want letters. Actually, we do want letters. We want something. Something would be nice.
It's Thanksgiving for all of our US listeners as well today.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
What's this won't be going out on
Thanksgiving. It's saying thanks for the ship that came over, that enough people survived. And then it was winter as well, and they survived at that point. So today, or around the end of November, is Thanksgiving. Giving thanks for the first Pilgrim Fathers to... not die in the winter.
Literally thanking them for staying alive.
Thanking God, because that's what they're like. Those crazy Americans.
Yeah, wouldn't make sense, would it, to celebrate it here?
Well, no, we'd celebrate the opposite. We'd celebrate if they died, because we were at war with them at the time. No, we wouldn't really, of course. Yeah, it's American celebration that's very specific to America. It's not worldwide. It's like when we do Guy Fawkes Night. They don't know what that's all about. They don't celebrate Guy Fawkes Night.
I don't really know what that's all about either, though.
It's a plot to blow up Parliament. You know that much.
Is that why you celebrate?
That's all I know.
Well, the fact that it didn't happen.
Yeah, the fact that you got...
We're celebrating all these things that didn't happen. So the people didn't die. Houses of Parliament weren't blown up.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, go on, take that to another stage. What else do we celebrate that didn't happen? Get us in touch with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and it's also another holiday today, Black Friday. That's a thing, God. Isn't it?
Oh, I hate that.
Why do you hate it?
All that. Because all shopping stuff and it takes longer to get delivered, and I'm a miserable person. Those reasons, basically.
You are such an Amazon buyer, aren't you? You're a serial
I love
Amazon guy.
Yeah, I am. We've got so many boxes here, you wouldn't believe. I'm keeping them in case I get a cat.
Is that
love
right?
Boxes. Yeah, they love
I am quite
boxes.
tempted. They've just opened up an Amazon fresh store in Islington. I'm quite fascinated by. I just want to go in and try it out because it's like it's all robotic, isn't it? You get like a trolley. And the trolley's got sensors around the edge of it. And when you drop the product into it, it recognises what that product is and how much it costs, effectively totting up your value. So the idea is you go around, collect your purchases.
If you're going to tot up.
If you're going to start totting up. And then as you leave, you could just beep, because it's got like a card scan apparently on the trolley. I haven't been, but that's what I saw a report.
But what product? I mean, it can't be, unless it's really big, like Argos has that big, huge back with loads of stuff.
Yeah.
You've got a guy around, it must be like a Wix or one of those.
I think
stores.
There's certain products that probably don't fit in it, in which case I'm sure they've got a more traditional way of purchasing it. But it's more like, it's just
set of
fast.
bathroom taps. Set of bathroom taps. See if they've got those.
I mean, you don't traditionally go to Amazon Fresh. You'd go there to buy your courgettes and your cucumbers, wouldn't you? I don't do Black Friday either. I just do you remember there was that video from a couple of years ago when they got all the press and everyone to go to this Curry's or some sort of store, and they were expecting crowds and crowds of people to. It was just one bloke with a rucksack just walks through the automatic doors.
Yeah, that's good. he's got it right. He's gone to the place where no one else is. But I would never.
Yeah, but he
go
got
out
there
with
at like
price.
7. He still got up at like
So, yeah.
7 o'clock in the morning to go. Oh, I need some Bluetooth headphones.
He camped out there. He camped out in, like J.K. Rowling view.
But how desperate are you to get money off, like for something like that? It's not even that good. Like the discounts aren't good.
It's bullshit because what they do is they raise their price sort of 6 months in advance in a period where they wouldn't sell much anyway, so it doesn't hurt them too much. And because they've raised the price for a certain length of time, they're legally allowed to then say that it's a discount. So they put it back down to what the prices were, or just a tiny bit under, and then they can say, oh look, 20% discount, 25% discount, whereas actually it's no discount at all on their normal price. They just raise the price to then put it down to say that it looks like you've got 20% off.
Oh, they're sneaky, aren't they? And they don't pay tax.
Oh yeah. It's
all right.
Yeah.
Oh,
political.
Anyway, let's not that politics.
We know what happens when we get politics.
What happens when we get that.
Insipid
Insipid US politics, as one reviewer said.
Yeah. It's one of our best reviews.
Yeah, it's good. The D Trout Spin is a retrospective of the Ricky Gervais show on XFM, broadcast between 2002 to 2005. The anniversary is just... Yeah, all right. The anniversary has just passed, so that's good. We've got our festive show on the way. Next week, we're going to be... Well, we're going to have a week off because we need to plan for this live show, which is happening on the 12th of December. Get it in your diaries now. 12th December, 1:30 to 3 p.m. at the Cock Tavern in Hackney. Yeah?
Yeah. It really is as well. If you, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm coming yet. So imagine if you had to do it on your own.
Oh, my God. So...
Oh, no, I've booked a hotel for about 500 quid.
Nice hotel?
Before.
500 quid?
No, 200 quid. Travel lodge or something, one of those.
Yeah.
Lenny Henry one. So this week we're reviewing episode 7, I believe, of series 3. Is that right?
Episode 6.
Oh, episode 6.
Have you listened to the right one?
Yeah, I think is it the one where
great.
They talk about Donna Eyre at some point, which is one of my favourite
That's good.
Of the show. Yeah, it's a good.
Okay, this week we discussed series 3, episode 6, 6th of December 2003. Mobile Discos of Karl and Steve, a programme called Bodysnatchers, was on during the week about parasites in the animal kingdom. Man with ear problem accidentally has testicles removed. Half man, half biscuit. Elephant polo. Nelson's letters. Ricky, good neighbour, bad friend. Art, Lowry versus Dwarf in a box. Dog that does Nazi salute. German women. I'll put a link to the original show into the notes, and then when you're ready, you can join us for a little debrief on our review.
Well, thanks very much. That's the end of the show.
That pretty much is the show.
That's an hour. We've come to end. See you next week. No, it was that was quite a big introduction, mate.
I didn't think it was going to be that long. Copied and pasted that from Pilkopedia. Thank you very much. We'll have our initial thoughts now. We'll do, the order of ceremonies now. It's going to be favourite quotes. Then we've got a little bit of XFM in the community. Going to be short, brief, because we do want to sort of plug this live event as much as we possibly can. Because we would do the planning. We had a chat about to plan it, and there was lots of audience participation. The main thing about audience participation is you need an audience to participate. So we need the audience.
Yeah. Well, what's it called if you just maybe host participation? Just the two hosts would together on our own. Yeah, my initial thoughts is it's all right, this show. It's got a couple of good moments in it, but there were some periods where I was just kind of, where you've been listening for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes have passed and you can't kind of even remember what you've just heard. Like this has a couple of those bits. I did go back and re-listen because I'm doing it professionally, apparently. But yeah, it's good. There's Don Air chat, as I say. I like Richard and Judy chat's all right. Pirate Radio is interesting. It's interesting. Always interesting hearing stories about Karl getting into radio. I can so imagine those days. They're not like funny stories for this show, but I just like hearing them. Favourite quotes, I've got plenty. But again, none of them were like, oh, that's a killer. That's really good. They were all good. I don't know. What did you think initially overall?
I was a little bit bored, I have to say. This doesn't really hang well together to me. It just feels like each little story or each moment you could have pushed it more to be funny. It just felt like a very nothing episode. It did feel like a bit of filler. They're always still amusing to listen to, but there are bits of it that I don't like the whole opening. As you say, it takes so long for it to warm up and it doesn't really feel like it warms up anyway. And then they start talking about the Bodysnatchers and the parasites and I just switch off at that point because it's just I'm a bit squeamish anyway, and hearing about cathartic holes in your nose and stuff, and pulling hairs and squeezing spots and stuff, it really just sends shivers down my spine.
But last week they did stuff about parasites, and it was really funny. Like, no, I didn't say that. Like, and it's a funny, like that bit was.
But that was better
because Ricky. Yeah, it was much better. That's what I'm saying. It was just a bit dull, and the bit about sticklebacks. They repeat that almost exactly on the podcast about sticklebacks getting flea in a heron. Because on the podcast, Carl says something like, "Oh, he was like he thinks the flea is that they're going to flee or something." There's some confusion there, but they repeat that exactly. So it's like I always forget that it's actually in the XFM shows as well. But that's a kind of take what you've already done, and it's not that good. He's just teaching Carl stuff. And there's so many missed opportunities in this show where it could have been funnier with just a line here or there. The doctor thing, removing the man's testicle, that's quite interesting. I quite like that bit. That bit as a whole is not that. I mean, it's like horrible to kind of imagine.
There's a couple of times
it turns out that Carl's right. The fact it turns out that Carl's right actually kind of ruins it a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if Steve should have even read that out. And he wasn't right. Anyway, I don't know why they don't make a point of this. A vasectomy is not taking your testicles and penis off. It's just tying up the tubes. But Carl's proved right like that. It ruins it a bit.
It happens the same with Donna Air, doesn't it? Because Ricky, he does often say, that's libelous. That's libelous.
Yeah.
He's said that so many times. And he was proved wrong again with the Donna Air, who was being left with a gorilla. Which, may I just say...
I don't believe it.
It is true.
The story. No way should she let a gorilla carry the baby off, though, that was in cage with other gorillas. I just still... Whatever you showed me as evidence for that, unless it's a photo, I won't believe it. But I do believe that they got the story saying it is true. I quite like the Donna Air bit. It's quite funny.
Who was Donna Air, by the way? Remind listeners who she was.
Geordie, that's from Newcastle, presenter of sort of kids shows, like level shows, like Top of the Pops kind of thing, Saturday morning, like the sort of thing Anton Dector. She was that sort of presenter. I think she also worked on Big Breakfast a little bit. Yeah, she did. Shows like that, catalogue sort of shows.
In the original BBC article from the one that Steve read out, there is a little bit more. The multi-millionaire has said her other two daughters, Clary 11 and Tansy 14, have also been introduced to the gorillas at the zoo in the same way. Both he and Miss Eyre approve of the plan, do not believe their daughter will be in danger. Yeah, so they said it's a ritual. I'll probably give her to the dominant female who will take her off and introduce her to the others. But you could get a babysitter.
You could get a babysitter, yeah. Ricky's, it's only like 10 quid an hour you pay the babysitter, But Ricky's right, like, it could roll over on it or something. Like, why put that danger? Like, Ricky explains that well, because you're not saying that they're aggressive necessarily. They don't have to, they could just sit on it by mistake. They don't know. He's right, but I do like the Donna Air bit. It's one of the highlights of the episode for me.
Have you ever done any babysitting? It's usually one of those things that you do when you're quite younger to earn money, isn't it?
Yeah, but you have to be 16 usually for them to let you to do it. No, I don't think. No, I haven't.
I had a date.
Did you
once.
Do it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. with a child you're babysitting. Is this going to be some? Don't say that on air.
I was dating this. Oh, I'm not dating this girl. I was seeing this girl once. I saw her once.
Seeing. No
I saw her in the street. And she said, do you want to have a date? I was all right. I'm babysitting for my friend and you can come round and babysit with me. I was like, this is a bit Scream, isn't it? This is a bit early scene of a horror movie, isn't it? It's a bit. And they said it's
a bit like she's kind of putting half in the weight she's going to have to take by looking after.
Well, this must be weird because
she's getting all the money.
Yeah. Well, she didn't actually get paid. They gave us a bottle of wine and some money for a takeaway, so I was pretty happy about that. But it's quite weird.
Why didn't you see her again? Why didn't you see her again?
She did come around. She came around a couple of times after that, but it was one of the more unusual dates that I've been on. Partly because you got to be responsible, haven't you? And it's weird inviting someone back to your parents' house anyway. But when it's someone else's parents with someone else's kid, and let's be honest, you're gonna want to have a bit of fun times on the sofa. That's just
you've never had fun times on a sofa with a woman you're dating. I know, even in bed. I've heard
even in bed,
you don't just lie there all night crying.
No, I always wanted to jump on the babysitting enterprise because it just seemed like a very legit business, isn't it? You know, most of the time you do get those freebies. Spend time on yourself watching telly. It's the easiest money. Well, it's not easy. I shouldn't say that.
No, but
if you're an au pair or something, yeah, exactly.
Like with, Louise
be responsible. Yeah.
Louise Woodford.
Wooders.
That's a sham, though. She's not Wooders. She wasn't guilty. But then, do you know what I mean? That can happen, and then actually, it's not anything to do with you, but you get blamed. You know, so I stay away from it, mate. I won't be going into it. You haven't
into the
convinced me.
trade.
Into
You
the
won't be
trade.
going into the world of work for at least another 5 years anyway.
No, probably just keep doing other PhDs after this one. Probably.
You will as well. I
Funding.
know what you're like.
If I got funding for it, I would. That 15 grand a year comes in handy.
There was
there was
there's
one
also.
little point-
I was going to say just during that Donna air, just to wrap it up. Carl does say, why would you leave your baby with a? No, Ricky says, why would you leave your baby with a gorilla? Then Carl, quick as a flash, just says, Did me no harm? And no one picks up on it.
Yeah, you. That's exactly what I was. Just
I
about.
wasn't,
I was going to say
sorry.
because of the Donna Eds. No, it's totally fine. It's a lost line because I had heard it before this, but I didn't hear that. I didn't pick up on that the first few times I listened to this episode. It's only just sneaks in. It's lost from the audience, and I think it's lost. Certainly got lost on the show. It would have been. Had it kind of been registered by Ricky, it would have been a huge laugh. Like it would have been a real point. But yeah, it did mean it's a lost line. I don't know if listeners will have even heard that. Some might not have. Yeah, you have to kind of be listening quite intently to pick up that. It's a shame because that would have gone down well. You just know how well that would have gone down with Rick.
To me, that sort of sharp, witty response reminds me of well, get me in the book then. It's that sort of similar thing. There's another line that I feel like no one's going to pick up on this line. I just want to get it out there now because I loved it so much. And it's just the way Ricky says a specific word.
I think I know what you're going to say. Oh, but
Do
go on,
you?
you can say,
Okay.
yeah, I might.
Well, let's have a go. So this is during the monkey news at the end. When he goes, it really reminds me of that. Ricky says, no, Carl says, right, so this was back in the 1980s, right? And Ricky, so that's quite topical then. When did this happen then? 1980s? Carl goes, yeah. And then Ricky just goes, yeah.
Yeah, you love those. Yeah. That's how he answers the phone every time.
It's so. I've searched like 1980s. Yeah, XFM Ricky Gervais, trying to find that line for fucking ages because I just want to. It's so sad because I just want to cycle through to that bitch. That yeah. It's just so quick.
Imagine someone had clipped just that out, and you'd found that from Google.
But people do make some strange edits, don't they, of these shows together? And that's what's great. Everyone's got their favourite moments, and I do sometimes just scout the YouTube comments, and there are lines in this that I really find painfully unfunny.
Can I say a line that's not unfunny, but I just get confused by each time? He says it like we've already know about what this is, but when he's talking about the Richard and Judy, I'm not saying this is supposed to be funny, but he sort of says, I'll be washing a tortoise next week.
Washing a tortoise.
But he says it as if there's some prior knowledge that's anything to do with tortoise. He hasn't mentioned the thing. Like it doesn't make. What is that? Can you explain that to me? Does he say? Is there something I should have picked up on like 20 times?
I don't know. I don't know the context.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get the context of it. It's a funny thing to say, I suppose. Like washing a tortoise. Why would you do that? And
but he's not saying it to be funny. Like he's not saying it to be random and fun. He just means.
I think he kind of is though.
Earnestly. No, I don't think he is. The way he sort of says it, I don't think he's saying it to be funny. It just says, I'm washing tortoise next week. Like he says it in how he usually speaks when he's just speaking normally. So,
but that is exactly how those sort of tea time shows do collate those features. Like you see it with the one show, just weird shit. Like why the Japanese like the Cotswolds? So and so investigates.
I did see one Richard and Judy, which I remember, which was no replies to me. It said, "Why are so many famous people from Watford?" So
how many famous people?
They didn't ask me. I don't know. There's some Spice Girls are from Watford, Elton John.
Really?
I don't know. I didn't watch the feature, but I was like, "Oh God, oh yeah, that's great."
Some famous people to come from Ipswich. Obviously, Ed Sheeran. He loves the Suffolk.
Stephen Wright.
Judy Dench. She went to Ipswich School. Stephen Wright, the prostitute murderer. Who else? Richard Ayoade. He went to Ipswich schools. So I think they discount the fact they didn't live in Ipswich. They just went to a posh school in Ipswich. The one posh school in Ipswich that probably has crazy fees to enter.
Oh, okay. Why is there this posh school in Ipswich? Why don't you work on like working electricity and things like that rather than have the posh school?
Generators and all that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get Richard and Judy could do a feature on that.
I've never been one for those tea time shows. Like to me, the idea of sitting down and watching Countdown is the most dullest way of spending 45 minutes. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine anything worse than that.
It's all right, but I like Pointless. That's kind of in that. That's a real good game show, quiz show.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not good.
But that's
enough
not
for me.
like one of those shows. Like you're thinking more of shows like The One Show and little feature shows, magazine shows. Yeah, I would don't watch them, but they're very.
Was
they're very
Blue
popular.
Peter was probably more prominent for your era, your generation.
Yeah, didn't you have it? Didn't you?
Yeah, we had it, but they sort of funked it up a bit. Adam and Joe do a really good bit on Blue Peter and how they sort of everything's got a music bed, and you've got the negative white space behind the presenters, and it's lost that kind of that oldie worldy charm. The quintessential English people in tweed and stuff.
I remember Anthea Turner being a presenter on.
Yeah,
like that's how she made it. People know Anthea Turner's a bit of a joke. Like she's not. I'm not criticizing her. She owns more than me. But she was a presenter on Blue Peter. I think so. I think she was like that. So that was my day. So for it,
I never made anything from that. I made a few things from Art Attack. That was quite fun.
My cousins made the Tracy Island was the big thing.
Oh,
Tracy Island was a huge thing, and they made it exactly. So you made stuff from Art Attack. What did you make?
2 parts water,
2 pints of lager, and a packet of crisps.
Everything was the same. It was just paper macheing a balloon or something like that, and then popping the inside. 2 parts water to 1 part PVA. That was the ingredients that always was the thing. But I liked Neil Buchanan. I thought he was great as someone. I was really interested. I really wanted to be an artist actually, or like get into art when I was really younger. I loved scribbling away and drawing and stenciling and tracing things, and had quite an imagination.
I've never known you to do an art thing. You're not artistic now, though, are you? You don't have
not
that
really.
talent.
Not now. I mean, I've got.
Because you told me you did.
No, I don't. I don't I wouldn't
artwork.
sit and draw and stuff. But when I was I did back then. I think it's because you play a lot of video games, don't you? And you've got quite an imagination. Like you're really into fantasy movies and things like that, and you're just inspired by all the characters. And I liked. Yeah, I really enjoyed just being on my own. I got through so much paper and pencils and felt tips and stuff.
I like doodling if I'm on the phone or something. Or,
But hey, talking about art, what's art about that? Maybe I could present that.
There you go. That's perfect.
What's art about that?
We just need to get you up. I'll be producer or something. Or
I actually think that would have
get me involved.
And I think out of all their TV shows ideas or things that they have and haven't done, I actually think that would have been brilliant TV series to see. I think he kind of does a bit of it anyway. That's kind of what he does. Talk about philosophy and the rites and passages of things and rituals. In the moment of life, but I have a whole series of him just visiting artists, or they did actually do a thing called A Content Idiot or something like that. It was called something different. Someone will correct me, I'm sure. But that was basically where he went to Satisfied Fool. That's what it was called. Where he chatted to like Jermaine Greer and Will Self and all these like intellectual thinkers and philosophers and authors and stuff. Basically, saying is he thick or something like that? Or like
I wouldn't have liked to see his art rubbish, because as we know, that's one of the few times during this period that we really don't like Ricky, because he does it again about the Lowry, don't say Lowry, again it comes from such an arrogant place, and he would can you imagine, like, if it was just Karl, but if Ricky was putting input into it too, like Idiot Abroad, where they were in an office and they were saying that, then I wouldn't like that, because I don't think Ricky would be good directed that. But Karl doing it on his own, as you say, he's basically done it with the amount of stuff he's done. He's commented on art, but just not as a whole series.
They've had so many bad ideas. Life's too short, quite frankly. He could have done without that. He just didn't need that.
If it was 1 episode long, it would have been all right. The first episode, I think, was pretty good.
Yeah, and if you want to hear our thoughts on our sort of top favourite Ricky, Steve and Karl projects, do head over to Patreon, where we did a very quick rundown of all their projects and I selected my favourite ones. But we're going to do a proper show, but that's on Patreon, so do head over there. How much should people donate if they go to Patreon, Gary, on a monthly basis?
Ooh, well, if it's £1, then a £1.50 upwards. Just that 50p extra goes to the admin, They scoop about 30p off, every pound we make anyway. So a good, nice round amount, or sort of round, is a £5, but a tenner would be lovely. If you give 50 quid, you can basically dictate the whole show. We'll do whole shows based on what you.
Someone might pay us 50 quid just to stop the show, though. That's more
we'll
likely.
do that. I'll do that as long as it keeps coming in every month. It'll be easier.
There's those cringe moments where they're talking about pirate radio. Yeah, regular radio, but with an eye patch on. You just go,
Yeah, it's
no,
not.
no.
But Ricky's allowed those because it's like he's good so much of the time that it's not gonna can't have 100% hit rate.
I know, but
yeah.
it's just like
It's not cringe for me. It's
no,
just,
but it's
just,
the one.
just like,
It's just like the one such a pedestrian thing to say, and you're just like, oh, don't say that. I always just I've got this real fear of people saying like the obvious thing. It's just like it becomes a cliche. I mean, it is a cliche anyway to say that, but I've just got such a thing against cliches and just the most obvious thing to say. But
yeah, you're not going to like our live show then, because that's what I'm going to do. Most of the day. No, it's just one of the. I'll allow Ricky that. I allow him. I say that I dictate that he's fine because he's so good so much of the time. What other cringe lines do you have then? You said there's a few lines you sort of cringe about.
Well, there was the bit where it's not so much a line, but it's obviously the Lowry thing. When he's saying about the elephant polo, Ricky can't explain why people need to be on the elephant, and he's like, no, I'll be like a teacher and I'll ask you, why do you think? And I always just think that is such a thing that you say when you don't know the answer, and teachers genuinely do that tactic, because I have been you are told to do that to elicit a response from someone and engage them in a discussion, get people talking, because that's
but
not
it's
your
also
job.
You do it. You can also do it to when you actually don't know the answer.
When you literally don't know.
Forget out.
So Gary, I'll ask you. Who was Karl Marx and what is Marxism?
Well, Mars, let me turn that on you. What do you think Marxism is? What does it mean to you? And then you
guys, let's have an early lunch. Shall we?
No. But do you know, there's another moment like that in the show actually as well, because it's similar, where they say we should get a doctor on. He's like, we have a doctor, whatever, and it's like, how could we prove he's a doctor? That's really hard, because anything a doctor would say that was like really clever doctor stuff, none of them will be able to confirm. So there is no way you can actually confirm someone's a doctor by asking them questions, unless you're a doctor yourself. And there's things so they don't. Then they're like, oh, go on, Karl, and they're like taking the piss that he can't think of. Yeah. And then Steve's like, we're on the radio. It's like, that's having too much of a go. It's like, it's an impossible thing to kind of answer. It's not weird that Karl kind of takes some moments to think of something. You know, it's very reasonable.
It's unfair to put someone on the spot like that as well.
They wouldn't know themselves.
I mean, the only answer that you could say to that is, well, I'd need to see some sort of credentials. But it's true, you don't ask if they're a doctor.
But that's the thing. Karl's right, but you can't, like on the radio, you've only got a voice. Yes, you get them to send in some proof or whatever, but no, on the radio, getting them to prove it is really hard, because you're not a doctor, so you won't know doctory things. So that's the point.
I'm definitely not, no.
So it's similar to the other line, where they don't know the answer, but they're kind of putting it on Karl, like, go on, Karl, like, and Steve's a bit harsh to him there, like, we're on the radio, speak. It's hard to think, like, they and that know. Quick. So I'm not happy with that bit. So there's quite a few. They're adding up, these sort of bits that we're not. I like
there are a couple of things that I've tried to find on the internet and I haven't been able to find, like the most desirable neighbour article. Really sad that I want to see that. Who would you rather have as a neighbour to you, Ricky, Steve, or Karl?
Well, I would like Ricky, because as he says, he's quiet. I bet he is quiet, keeps himself to himself. But I'd like to have chats with Karl probably more often. I don't imagine any of them are too loud, are they? So
I think you'd get a little, all right, as you left the flat and you saw Karl in that alleyway or the corridor. Just get, all right.
Mr. 42, Miss 42. Let's get a letter for Miss Harris.
Karl would be complaining. Karl would be quite good at getting things done, like ringing the council, and like, because it's always good to be friends with someone like that. Like you're good friends because you're good at, to me, because you know a lot about financial stuff and ringing up the council and getting stuff done. And, well, you do. You've got a lot of other good qualities, but that's the best one.
Mate. Cheers, mate.
No, it's good because I don't know about that. And then
I got a full refund for our accommodation in Edinburgh.
Exactly,
It took me about 20 emails and phone calls and much stress. But
do you have any other successful customer service stories of personal triumphs?
I've not really been in customer services, so
no. But like
apart from
getting a return, getting another return.
Oh, see, from my point of view as a customer, Virgin sent me a box of beers, a huge crate of beers. Budweiser,
Virgin.
No, sorry, not Virgin. Vodafone.
So, Virgin, it doesn't matter. Vodafone. They're phones.
Virgin sacked someone because I complained.
Did they really?
I think so, yeah. But they also
You super bastard.
I also got like £100. Oh, he was terrible. But the guy, Vodafone, yeah, they were taking so long to fix the problem. None of them could fix. And they sent me some beers. They said, sorry, it's taking so long. Here's some beers. And also they gave me a voucher for Pizza Hut, like a card, like that you can use.
So
I never
strange.
used it. I never used it.
It's just weird that Vodafone goes, do something, please this customer. I got him a 20-pack of Stella. What do you want?
Yeah, but you can imagine the amount I was saying you did to them, and it's like it's weird. The whole problem was that I kept getting text messages through to my phone that said, "Oh, this is can you set your settings or whatever?" When you change your SIM card or you update, and I was getting loads a day, 20, 30 a day. Really
interesting story, yeah.
I mean, well, I'm just saying, no problem. That's why they sent me those beers. I don't drink the beer. I've still got the beers in my fridge, some of them.
You've had some bad neighbours, though, in the past, haven't you?
Oh, God, yeah. I had one playing jungle music.
Father Ted.
It was the bass. You feel it. But I've got great neighbours there at the moment. I've got you don't know how much you want to say about this in case he hears, but you don't like your neighbours, really. Neighbours are... No, and they're not just your neighbours; they're your landlords as well.
I just don't. It's that thing. I think it's an old Jack DJ. I've got nothing against neighbours; just don't want them living next door. It's just I hate them. Yeah, I hate them. I just get annoyed with little things. I think because I've been living with people for so long now, it's all starting to. I'm just too old for this now. I just can't do it anymore. And it was okay as a student because you kind of had a level of tolerance and you were kind of half interested in making an effort and being friends with someone. But I remember when we first moved to London, I really wanted to make good first impressions. I'd kind of come from a really friendly house share in Brighton, moved to London, knocked on someone's door straight away, and he went, "Yep, all right, see ya." I was like, after introducing myself, "Hello, I'm Miles, all right, and I'm your housemate." Okay. And now, I would shut the door. I wouldn't do that now, can I just say? Anyway, we had this guy that joined the house, and he was kind of new in town. He wanted to make some friends, and
how did he even know to join your because if it's a house, you all knew each other.
The landlord that was he.
Oh right.
That agency, whatever.
That must.
Anyway,
it's
weird because you always get anxiety because you never know who they're picking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he comes round and he's into fashion. He wants to be a bit of a sort of got some money behind him, whatever. And he says, "Oh yeah, maybe on Sunday we can have crepes together." Because he's French. I was like, "Oh sure, that sounds great." And I'm really bad at committing to things anyway. So I was like, "Okay, cool, that sounds great." Totally forgot about it. Totally forgot that I'd agreed to this breakfast. Well, what worse than that, I came into the kitchen about an hour later, he'd gone, and there was a stack of crepes with individual foil between the crepes, and I just felt like an absolute award-winning wanker. Yeah, I just felt.
I mean, you are anyway, but that confirms it.
It's just something I feel quite sad when I look at lonely food. It really makes me sad. So when I see a stack of pancakes, I was like, I bet they were really nice one, like proper French crepes.
Was it pancake day, or did you just want to do it?
No, it's just a Sunday.
He just wanted to do it. Just a Sunday. Oh well, fuck that then. No, I wouldn't have gone either. No way.
But I just don't go. The ones at the moment can't speak too loud, but. Bit annoying.
What? Oh yeah, your neighbours.
Yeah.
There's an issue with sound and smell.
The smell is excruciating. It's just an abattoir basically. But I've got such sensitive hearing. My girlfriend and I, when we go to cinema, she's like, I hate going to cinema with you because I'm turning my head the whole time. I can hear a pin drop in the cinema. I've got quite refined hearing. Just hear someone just bringing the popcorn to the mouth. Why do you need to make a noise before the popcorn passes your lips? Surely you can just...
Yeah.
Or worse, when they're just eating popcorn in half. You've got one popcorn, one kernel popped, and they go... And they eat half. That's not that big. It's not of a challenging eat. You can eat the whole thing and it'll be done.
I think I could do about three at once. Even.
Exactly. So why do you? And you're looking at this person. You're like, they've got a whole barrel. It's like you are doubling the amount of time it is necessary for you to finish that.
Yeah, and they probably got it sweet instead of salted.
Yeah. But that's sound. So that's the worst thing about neighbours is sound.
Well, that's why you're working on radio because you've got such good hearing.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, not working on radio. I mean, podcasting. When I say radio,
it's not
we've
radio.
got some more to come on that, maybe.
Yeah, I also want to find the picture in heat. Never been able to find that online.
Oh yeah, what did you put in to find it?
Carl Pilkington picture in Heat.
Oh, just that, yeah. No, okay. Yeah, I'm surprised that doesn't come up.
What are your opinions on the regular returning features? So, Songs of Phrase,
Okay, I'll
Mike
give them
News
songs
and
of
Rockbusters.
yeah. I gave Songs of Phrase an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a good one.
Yeah,
Quite funny. So Ricky's reaction's funny. Like he likes it. Monkey News, I gave 6.5 out of 10. I'm not saying it's all right. It's like it's too just silly. But Karl and Film, I didn't rate, but I'd give about 6.5 as well, because Ricky doesn't, it's all about Ricky's reaction. I do feel sorry for Carl because he put so much effort into these, and sometimes when Ricky doesn't react, it's not kind of worth it, so it's okay. But clever, in terms of effort that you put in, a 9 out of 10 still, every time he does it, but in terms of how it turned out, about 6.5.
Well, one of my favourite Songs of Phrase is coming up, which is going to be
My neighbour had a horse in a house. It is that one that's my favourite because of the ear. Lisa Stansfield, pathetic. It's one of our favourite things to say between each other.
It's just too
My neighbour,
a horse in house. What was that? Yeah, no, I'm not. I wasn't impressed with that. No, but I was going to say my favourite Songs of Phrase is one of them is coming up for the live show in which we talk about is Scrooge. I think Scrooge is just after Kes. But those two together. So I'm looking forward to talking about that at the live show. That's 12th of December, 1 to 3:30 at the Cock Tavern. Then we'll also make sure there's a Facebook event in the description as well, so you can RSVP.
So you can ignore that as well, which people do. You can ignore that, you can ignore this. But yeah, so that's our discussion on the show. I think we'll have a break now, unless you've got anything particular to say. We'll come back.
No, I wish I did, but...
a few minutes.
We're back. Hello, everyone.
To them, they just get a little bit of music for that. But we've actually had about 20-30 minutes off. We don't usually. We're just really just lazy.
Anyway, should we come in with our favourite quotes?
Let's go. I think. Shall I go first or you?
Yes.
I don't mind.
No, you go first, mate.
It's not a question you can answer yes or no. No, not true. Not true, baby. No.
That was one of mine.
I know it would be.
So I think we'd get upwards of 800 people listening.
Yeah, that's
I mean, there's so many. That's kind of very Brent-like, as yours was.
Yeah, it is a Brent. There's a lot of these favourite quotes are Brent-like, really, which is what makes them so good. This is just, I like the way he says it. Look, I'm too hot. Let's get us outside. Let's get us outside of here. I like.
You love a comedy voice, don't you?
Like impersonate.
Mine is from Steve, or on the universe, on the map of the universe. Big is it? Such a quick thing to say to that.
Well, I've got my next line is from that as well, and it's my favourite line of it. Is but if you're that lost,
it's true. It's just such a honest reaction to a map. It's like, it's not about being lost. It's about the nature of how big, how small and insignificant the Earth is.
Yeah, well, he takes the word. It's the use of the word map. We mean it in a different way, but he goes. He takes it as literal meaning of a map that
not mapping something out.
No.
Yeah, that's because you don't like answering the phone. No, I just think it's a better way of doing.
Doing it.
This is the second time Ricky said about how much Carl hates actually being a producer.
Oh, he said that more times.
And interacting with the audience. He hates it. That's because you don't. That's true, though, because I mean, I'm sure we've said it before. I actually prefer talking to people on the phone, but a lot of people, that's not very much the modern way of doing it, because people get anxious on the phone.
I didn't think you did. We talk on the phone.
We talk on the phone.
You talk on the phone. You talk. If it's a business or something, you don't like talking to them on the phone. But you'd prefer if it's a friend. It
depends what it is. Yeah. If it's a friend, I often find myself when I go, because I still be going on my daily walks as I'm working from home, and I just love talking to people as I'm just walking around the park. I actually
talk to people as you would walk around the park.
It's quite an obnoxious thing to do, isn't it? Though, I've always been a bit aware that Bluetooth. I went to see Dear Evan Hansen in the West End, which was very good. Can I just say? I think actually our listeners would really appreciate that. There's a lot of stuff out there about mental health, anxiety, that kind of thing. It's really interesting, really good musical if you're into that sort of thing. But there was a girl the whole way. It's about an hour into Central from where I live. She was on the mobile on Bluetooth for the whole journey, just so loud and talking about noise from this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, I just really wanted her to get off at every single stop. I think that's such an obnoxious thing to do, to talk loudly on the bus.
Well, I've had someone on the bus with me, and I was on the top deck, but quite near the back, and they were at the front of the top deck. So quite far. But what they did, no, worse than just speaking loudly on a phone call. They had them on speaker, so I could hear them out on. I swear, and she was so loud, it was so annoying. Yeah.
Why do you want to know someone's business as well?
This was a journey between Brighton and Eastbourne, which is like an hour, and she was on for maybe she wasn't on for all of it, but some of it. Really,
you don't need that, do you?
Oh, okay. This isn't funny, but I don't know why. I just like it. It's just the voice again. It's not a funny voice either. She'll suddenly go, "Oh, my jumper's itching."
Yeah.
She suddenly go, "Oh, my jumper's itching."
She does do that as well.
I know, yeah, but I just...
Do you still remember that scene from that award ceremony, Richard and Judy? If you don't know who Richard and Judy were, they're talk show personalities, but they're actually married, and that was their thing. They did like loads of breakfast shows and stuff like that. Richard made these, actually. He was in the I'm a Celebrity Jungle, and now he's out because he just left. But there was that award ceremony, that bit where her jumper falls, or the strap of her T-shirt drops and her bra's exposed. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that now.
my next quote is, but not Richard and Judy chat here, is this is quite a hard one to get right, so I'm going to do my best. And then you also told me there's a place where they grow coffee, where the weasels come out and eat the coffee, right? But they have too much of it to vomit. And it's all the vomit because it makes the coffee smoother.
I've got that quote as well, but the end bit of it. And you're right. Like so, I've got, and they sell vomit because it just makes the coffee smoother. It just, I like that. It just kind of makes the coffee smoother. Like,
smoother. And it is actually a fact. So, Kopi Luwak is a coffee that consists of partially digested coffee cherries, which have been eaten and defecated by the Asian palm civet, which is a type of small mammal, and is also called civet coffee. So it's nearly on point by Karl. They don't vomit, but they excrete it. I don't think I quite fancy.
No, apparently I've heard it's there is an animal where the vomit is what they use as well. So there's something about going through the body of an animal that makes it like really refreshing or something, smoother, pretty smoother. Okay, so that was one of mine. But hey, I've had 5 kids. Oh, Blook bought one of them a guitar, and I like how Ricky goes into that. He's very good at kind of coming up with those sort of things that are in those sort of magazines.
No one wants that, baby. Just want to get that again because I like saying that too much.
Yeah, we said that. But no, it's good. It's a good one. That though.
Oh yeah. That's a bit similar to. That's a bit similar to. That didn't happen. Didn't happen. Just the name of the artist. That's all we want. Just the artist.
Just the artist.
Carl's getting so annoyed because he puts the work in and no one's getting it, which happens a few times with songs of phrase.
Yeah, and I was just going to say about him answering the phone as well. I just remember, quite right, he doesn't want to answer the phone. Can you imagine how busy he is, how much he has to do? Like just, to make him answer the phone.
Can you imagine how and you've heard a few of the phone calls, they're mentalists as well.
They are, yeah, like our listeners. This one, I've again, it's so I'm trying to do it in his. I can't get it.
Yeah, I know.
I can't get it exactly. It's where he's saying about the testicles being.
Yeah.
That's how I've written it down, but it's not perfect. But he
does overreact a bit, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, just a bit. That makes it good.
I remember Chinese woman eats dirt. That was a cracker.
That's a cracker. For $4.99.
$4.99. He's a big box. He's a small fella.
It's a big box. He's a small fella.
He's so angry. What's that about that? He's so angry.
Like, what do you want to do? Compress matter? That's a good point. Yeah. Would you buy a car with a Duff engine? Is one of my favourite, but I just had to. I feel bad doing it. But
do you know? I know what you're going to say. One of your quotes as well.
I've said it to you. If you're thinking the same one, it's disgusting.
I've never.
It's like. Yeah.
I can't say it.
I did it in a voice message as well, which was even worse. Like
if someone was to go through our WhatsApp search history,
and
the sort of comments and the voice messages, you would think there's Steve Wright, wouldn't you?
I think you would. I hope so. That'd be nice.
My last one is with with the ill man.
With the, I was nearly put that in myself. With the no, it's the pause. He says with the, and then he goes with the. He's going to say fella, but he doesn't add with the ill man.
But he doesn't know how to describe.
But he's seen the film, like he knows.
Yeah,
he
but
could
you
just say
would.
the
How would you
condition.
say? Because people are sort of PC about that. They don't want to say the person with
people with autistic,
autistic. I was going to say qualities.
Savant. The savant, you could say,
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a couple left.
That's a rubbish film, by the way, Rayman. Don't know why it's so got all the plaudits and critical acclaim. It's rubbish. Hate that film.
It?
It's so,
I don't know.
I mean, nowadays you look back at that and you go, that's really strange that you've got Dustin Hoffman portraying a person with the ill man. With autism, and you're just like, oh god. I mean, it's true. Kate Winslet's character in Extra say you play a spastic or a mentor, and you're guaranteed to win an Oscar.
Yeah. He did win an Oscar, didn't he?
Yeah, he won an Oscar. It's like,
well,
why?
That was Miles's film review. Next week it'll be mine. I'll do one next week. Oh, Raheem.
Yeah,
it's like the name he comes up with there.
I was quite proud of a tweet I did during the World Cup, which was, I think Raheem had just won. Raheem Sterling.
Oh yeah,
and did Raheem.
Oh, that must have gone down well. I remember. You are going to get a sack for Miles later. That's not my favourite quotes. I'm just speaking to you there.
What is all of that about as well? Those Lord Admiral Nelson
letters?
Were.
He wrote letters and all those sort of erotic letters to his lovers that he was with before, but he was on a ship, wasn't he? So he couldn't. And then the letters got found and he was like, yes, no pudding. He did say things like that. I haven't read them, but like, I haven't touched even pudding. Like basically I haven't had wank one off.
Is that genuinely what that means?
I haven't wonked off a pod. Yeah, of course it is. In those days, it was like, that's all you could say. You couldn't even, you polite society, and I did have one. There's something wrong with you.
Something wrong with you.
I quite liked as well.
God,
that's our favourite quotes.
Can I just say, right? I want to know where. Do you think the way Ricky says things with that, that sort of, where did that come from? Where originally he got that? Is it just
instinct?
But is it? Do you think?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think so. It's just him. It's not.
It
doesn't sound like it's
but it's so mad that one person can have such an influence. I don't think any personality in comedy has had such a greater influence over the way we speak, not just what we say, but the way we say it.
Well, certainly for us.
You just feel like his personality is just being validated by us using it in our daily lexicon, don't you? Like, it's just weird.
I do think it's validated, but it's interesting. He obviously had his influences, his comedy influences, his comedy heroes, but I don't think anyone was quite like him. When he does stuff like that, you can tell it's not like he's not forcing it. If he was like copying someone else, he wouldn't be able to do it. But he's so natural kind of doing it. It's such a little thing. It doesn't sound like anything, but he's very good at it. It's speech, like we were saying about the vomit. It makes the vomit. There's something about it makes that sentence. He just stumble. It's where he deliberately sort of stumbles as well. That's another little thing, and it's not like he plans it. But for some reason, that makes it. I still haven't been able to explain why that makes it funny. But that's shouldn't dissect humour. But
we should stop doing this podcast.
Well, we should certainly. No, exactly.
So those were our favourite quotes. Do email us in your one, spinnerspodcast@gmail.com, or spinnerspodcast on the Twitter. We're also available on YouTube, and make sure you do rate, review, and like the podcast wherever you can. Just helps with the algorithms. All right. Now it's time for XFM in the community. This is where you get in touch and we read it out. That's basically it, and it's got a snappy title as well. Is it a name of a feature? Yeah,
and then we pay 80 quid for a bed for it, and then don't use it because no one likes it. We'd bought that bed for 70, 80 quid.
Let me start off with Patreon member and loyal listener Rob Banks. Hey Miles, just to me that one. Just thought I would say, watched Supernatural last night. He came on at 8:20 and I was sat on the train coming home at 9:25. I can't believe how short it was. He gave no mention of London, like lots of comics do. There was a tiny bit of a heckle when some people were fighting and he couldn't have got back to his script quick enough. I do actually believe there is a video circulating, isn't there, of him breaking up a fight. A few XFM stuff in there, actually even some podcast stuff was in there, I think. I remember him talking about Come As You Were Party and a few other stuff. He said little a few times, which made me smile as I thought of Karl. Ricky is a lifelong hero of mine, and I was sadly disappointed, but not surprised. He had some good gags. I feel like in general it could have just been the jokes he didn't use in Humanity. Also, the first 20 minutes was just about cancel culture, and everything he said got a cheer, was like being in a lecture. Now I'm going through Twitter and seeing all the comments about how amazing it was.
Yeah. Well, I put on Twitter, what's your favourite Gervais stand-up show? From the first four, from the ones that are available just on DVD. So I did a poll, and I think Animals won by a long way. But I think that's because, well, you've got the poll results there, I think, or you've got something from the poll. But yeah, I can imagine that. I'm surprised he only did an hour. Like, that's so. I've seen pictures of not just the fight, but pictures of these stadiums, and people would take a picture of them, and they look huge. Like, he's done so well. Like, forget like the quality of it. I know I'd have my issues with the quality of it, but just the fact he's playing in those stadiums is like amazing. Like, from where he came from on the 11 o'clock show to filling vast stadiums in place after place after place.
I feel like he has broken some records. I did see that somewhere, that he's broken most records for like most number of tickets sold, or most people come to see him in that many amount of venues. But I personally don't like comedians in large arenas such as that. We were just talking about this before. I think comedy is one of the few things that is meant to be enjoyed like more intimately. So I don't like it, but I do. To Rob's point,
we've seen, you and I have been to see Stuart Lee in a pretty big theatre.
But I think that's the thing. Like, I've been listening to Harry Hill's autobiography this week, which is really great. If you're interested in the art of stand-up or comedy, that and the Bob Mortimer one, they're so great, regardless of what you think about Harry Hill, because I know he's quite a divisive figure too. But
don't judge him on his TV work. I always say, don't just judge. Look, go back to stand-up, which no one's seen. Hardly anyone knows that. So go back to that. If you love it, you'll love everything.
But he was talking about he was very inspired by Stuart Lee and vice versa, and saying that how financially it's actually better to play multiple smaller venues. Fill them out. You get a larger return. But someone like Stuart Lee or Harry Hill, they're fully capable of doing a big arena like that. They just choose not to. So I always just think it's a bit of a hallmark of quality when a comedian gets that big and they do an arena. Like, you see it all the time. Like Jack Whitehall, don't rate him. Russell Howard, don't rate him. Michael McIntyre. All these people are incredibly popular. I don't get it. Even someone like Mickey Flanagan, who I potentially could be interested in, or Lee Mack. He's the closest to that sort of mainstream comedian that I could probably get on board with. But I just hate it when comedians do these live arena tours. I just think it's just such a hallmark of lack of quality, really. For me.
But I'm not talking of the quality though. But there's just the success. It's just amazing to be able to sell that out. It looked like a rock band, would sell those tickets. So for a one person to say it is impressive. Whatever you think of the quality of it, or the theory of sort of doing it in a big arena. I agree with you. The where we saw Harry Hill, it was like a little, you walk down some
Soho
stairs. It was
Theatre.
And it was like downstairs, and they set up like tables, and there's probably about 75, 80 people there.
It's big enough, isn't it?
I guess. And we were at the back, and it was lovely.
And it's more democratized, that everyone can afford a ticket. You don't have to pay. I mean, the truth of the matter is, they charge upwards of like 60 quid. I don't pay that.
It's amazing.
I paid the only positive experience of comedy I had a live arena tour was Flight of the Conchords, which was exceptional. And even then, it was only because they were doing just 2 dates, and that was it. And you'd be surprised that you think that wouldn't work, but it did actually. I mean, partly because I'm such huge fans of theirs, and it did feel a bit of an event. They don't tour that much, so it was incredible. But just to return to your poll that you posted, so the options were animals, politics, fame, and science. There was 47 votes, and animals came in on top at 46%. Politics next at 36%, science 12%, and I have seen that tour, and then 4% for fame, which surprised me. I thought fame would get a lot more love than that. I would have said, personally, I think politics is probably the best one.
I agree. Someone wrote underneath that he got good by that, but like animals was a bit too raw, and I agreed with that.
That's it. So that's Sean Wright says, politics for me. The Hitler piece is absolutely so well done, making Hitler sound like a naughty schoolboy twiddling his thumbs and looking at the floor, and saw Supernature live, a solid set, but nothing on his first 3 stand-ups. And then you've got Lucky Menace says, I enjoyed them all, but I think Politics is my favourite because Ricky had done some animals, therefore he was more ready and on form the second time. And personally, I laughed a lot at how well he crafted each subject he tackled in the show. I think it's weird as well because Ricky didn't start out as a stand-up. He'd never done the circuits. He just jumped in, and surprisingly, he was very good, wasn't he?
He's good, yeah, but not surprisingly, it's not a surprise to me. He's just exactly the sort of person who would be good at stand-up. Yeah, he's a funny guy, whatever, even now. Yeah, it was quite close then. It's just fame was way trailing sort of in the way.
But clearly, you know, a lot of people have seen Supernature, so if you have seen it, because it's either still touring or it's got a few more dates left. Yeah, so do let us know your thoughts, actually, because that's something maybe we should do a stand-up special sometime in the future on Ricky's stand-up. That might be quite interesting.
Yeah, could do, absolutely. Patreon, where you have to go to Patreon. Remember to do that. Hey, that's the sort of thing you'll be getting in 2027. You know, if you sign up now,
you'll be dead by then. You'll be dead by then.
Thanks. You'll be nothing without me.
The second, please stay alive for the live show.
Yeah, I'd try.
So your other poll was first series of The Outlaws is out now, so it's time for the head-to-head battle. And you had the choice between The Outlaws or Afterlife. Significantly more votes, 103 this time.
And
The Outlaws engagement figures 57% won. That was
close,
The Outlaws,
isn't it? Close, really.
And 42 for Afterlife. I'm surprised that our listeners like Afterlife.
Yeah, but they're not necessarily. Some people just are on the. Some people listen.
Yeah, that's true.
There's some people saying that Afterlife is shit and they hate that, and there's some people in the comments who are saying that the opposite. They're saying that they didn't like The Outlaws at all. There's some people who didn't like The Outlaws. If you got any selection you could read, you don't have to read all, but
sure. So Travelling Blade says, who's voted for Afterlife? More depth than Cheap as Chimps.
Yeah.
Shay UK says, neither are great shows, to be honest, but The Outlaws ended terribly, though I know series 2 is upcoming. The stereotypical in The Outlaws poor too. Show has potential, but just didn't hit. Afterlife, not great, but definitely the better show.
Interesting.
And then there's Lone Wolfby, who says, haven't even finished out yours yet, but I know it's going to be better than the shit pile that is Afterlife. Some strong opinions either way.
Very strong, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting polls. That's what I did in.
I do think The Outlaws is the more rounded show. I don't think it's amazing, groundbreaking, but I think in terms of originality, freshness, and everything, the full package, the writing, cinematography, I think it's the better directed show, actually. I think
Steve wasn't the star, as well, so he didn't put himself as the star, which I think impacts the directing, because you can't, I just think to direct and be in the scenes, doesn't work so much. Steve isn't in all the scenes, or many of the scenes for The Outlaws, from what I've seen.
I saw recently, just now, this is quite recent news, but Ricky's just confirmed he's going to be in this German TV series playing a version of himself. Not something he's written or directed. Yeah, it's just like, oh my god, mate. Just give it a break.
Isn't Steve going to be in something German with some serial killer or something?
No, so that's going to be he's going no. That's been filmed. It was based on that murderer who killed men who he met on Grindr. With Sheridan Smith. I can't remember the name of the serial killer. But it was one. Sometimes you get those memes that come across and they go, Steve's playing a serial killer. All they did was removed his glasses.
Yeah, they've done you again.
He's done you. But no, apparently that show's been filmed. It's done. I think it's ready to go out. I think it's a BBC show. But I know there's been some sort of not lawsuits, but there's been some legalities and stuff. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it's going to be going out. But I can't wait to watch that, actually. I mean, obviously, really grim subject matter, but
absolutely. But the interesting thing with this is the first thing that I know of that Steve is doing serious acting in, not comedy.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen Ricky do serious acting. He did it quite early on in one of The Wire or something. It's in one of those American films. And he did all right. But Steve, I've never seen do a serious thing. This obviously isn't going to be humorous. They're probably
Yeah.
make it a bit humorous, but interesting to see.
Bad man, good show, hopefully.
Yes,
so
sir.
do get in touch with us with your feedback. That's spinnerspodcast@gmail.com. Spinners Podcast on Twitter. We'd love to hear your stories. If you've got any voice notes that you want to send us, we'd love to play those. Also, we haven't had a few of them for a while.
No, I don't think so.
No? All right.
I don't really want that.
That's a no from Gary.
No, go on. I do want all that, really.
And especially if you've just started listening to the podcast, I'd love to know your thoughts or suggestions to make it better.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't we? We need to know that.
On that note,
that note, let's do our Trout Spinners library. Shall we do that?
Yeah, I was listening to Status Quo quite a bit.
Why are you listening to? You picked Editors last week, and now you're picking 3 chords. Now you're picking 3 chord Quo.
No, there's a 4th chord in the chorus. No, I don't know. I don't know whether there is.
You can listen to it.
Rocking All Over the World. I was just listening to it. Well, there's Rocking All Over the World. I had it on.
Okay.
So I was thinking, I might as well put that in.
Yeah, all right. Well, if you enjoy it, it's good, isn't it?
Because I haven't put it in before. Because obviously I put things in that I put in before all the time.
And the pool of bands and artists is only so big, isn't it? It's not like there's new music coming out on a daily basis that you could pick.
Oh, yeah. I like all that.
So since we're here, this is our Spotify playlist, by the way. We're going to put those into, and then you can access it in the link.
You haven't said yours yet.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do that now, though, aren't I?
You could do it then, mate. Do it. That's what I'm saying.
So I'm going to pick. It's from Dear Evan Hansen, the musical that I saw last night, because I like diverse music. So sue me.
I really thought you were going to say I like diversity then, and try and be.
I like diversity too.
Well, we both like diversity. You don't just take that as read.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the banger from the show, the big pre-interval number, and it's called "You Will Be Found," which is a lovely sentiment, and I hope everyone enjoys that.
I'd like to listen to that. I'll be straight on that.
Oh, we do have fun here, don't we? In the D-Trout Spinners. Yes, at least one of us does. And my fun will continue because I've got to edit this one. So I'll listen to it again.
Yeah, but I have fun sort of thinking about the editing process. So in a way, I put in as much work. I think about it as it's going on.
Anyway, so this is now going to be our last show for a little bit until you. But with the promise,
you'll hear the last. Come to the live show.
Yeah,
please. Basically, just come to the lodge. Get down to the Cock Tavern.
Do you know what you're like? You're like David Brent coming back into the office goes, well, they can't stop me having a drink with you. He wants to have a drink with me.
He wants to have a drink. Come on.
No one wants to come to a live podcast. No one wants to see your.
What you got to do the slight pause and then like who wants to come to the podcast? Sort of.
Yeah, Gary, I'll come to your live podcast. Great.
Well, Miles will have an audience of 2 at least.
No, it'd be good. It'll be the D-Trout Spinners Christmas party, and that's when. Do you know what they're doing for our Christmas party? By the way, just a little moan.
Well, your work you're talking about now.
Yeah. So they're doing a What do you want to do for Christmas party? You usually just want to have a bit of turkey and some plonkers, right?
Well, a nice sort of restaurant with 3 bottles of wine.
That's what the normal person would say. Something maybe a bit fancier than wine, maybe a good quality sparkling wine, or maybe a glass of champagne.
Well, I don't, but yeah.
No, but that's what I would expect anyway. We're going to a virtual reality centre to play multiplayer computer games.
That's so like your industry site.
Yeah, but it sounds that anyway. We're based in East London. This place is in Ealing. Literally the arse end of
don't know.
So Eden's proper
Roughly.
West London.
Yes,
Proper West London. So it's like probably about an hour and a half away from where we are.
Yeah, I think it's at the end of one of the lines.
And I can't play video games. I'm too old for that nonsense.
You'll love it when you get there. You'll be the first one.
I'm not going. I'm
making
a stand.
Oh, you're not going?
I'm not going. I'm going to go. They're going to Winter Wonderland. So, hey, I like ice skating and the mulled wine. I'll have to do a bit of that.
I hate all that so much. But yeah, I've done that.
I do too, but I'd rather do that than virtual reality.
No.
I'd rather live in real reality and have a mulled wine.
Can you imagine me in virtual reality? Struggling as I do in reality. Like in virtual reality, maybe it'd be easier for me. I don't know.
I think it'll be a lot worse.
Anyway, that's.
Do you like mulled wine, by the way?
Not really. No, it's too sweet, and you put berries in it and stuff. So I don't like it, and I would advise our listeners to not have it. But if you want to advise them the opposite, you can. But let us know your Christmas party, what's going on for you, and come to the D-Trout Spinners Christmas party, which is 12th of December, the Cock Tavern, Hackney, 1:30, but get there for 1 if you can, till about 3. We get kicked out.
And we'll also
The
make
regulars
sure that
come
we
in.
have a drink with you before and after, because I would love to meet some of yous.
Yeah, after might be a bit better because we'd be a little bit tense before, I think. But
No, that's good. It's all
cool.
good
And
stuff.
on that point, thank you for listening.
Thanks.
We appreciate it. That's what I wanted to say. No, I've said, don't nod at me like I've said, okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks. See you next week. Not next week. If you're on Patreon, you will see us next week. The week after, we'll be posting our live show at some point, and then sort of Christmas. We might do a Christmas special on Christmas Day. We did last year. Did a little recording on Christmas Day. Obviously, we'll have a bit of a Christmas break, and then we'll be back in the new year. So, and actually, we're going to be back in the new year with the show that they're back in the new year with.
Wow, it's like we planned this.
It's like we planned it, which we didn't. We're very lucky because we're shy.
Yeah.
Especially me.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
thank you. Take
Bye.
care.